Sí, se lo paso a su...
Juan, ¿me escucha bien? Juan, Juancito, prueba, prueba, Juan. No, no, no te escucho, Frank.
Ah, perdón, es que estaba...
Ya no se escucha.
Wow, ya se lo voy a pasar al WhatsApp.
Por favor.
Ya no está sonando el tono. Creo que era un tema seguro cuando están todos juntos, ¿cierto? Pero se salió entre pasos.
Franklin no tiene ese logo del simposio para ponérselo a la presentación mía.
Sí, señor, ya se lo paso.
¿Usted tiene mano? Sí, bueno.
Ujú. Póngale por WhatsApp.
Sí,
Sí, ok.
correcto.
Sí, sí.
Buenísimo.
¿Meléndez?
No, es que nosotros nos vemos al revés. Ve, digamos aquí, el mío sale al revés, pero usted me ve bien. Sí, usted se ve aquí, ya está bien.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and passionate educators. My name is Graciela Ferreiro, and on behalf of Universidad Americana, it is my distinct honor to welcome you to the second International Symposium on Teaching English as a Foreign Language. This gathering brings together experienced researchers, emerging educators, and dedicated professionals, united by our collective commitment to excellence in language education. We are especially honored by the presence of the British ambassador, to whom we expressed our deepest gratitude for taking time from his busy schedule to deliver a special address. Universidad Americana is privileged to host representatives from leading Costa Rican higher education institutions, including Universidad de Costa Rica, Universidad Estatal a Distancia, Instituto Tecnológico de Costa Rica, as well as Centro Cultural Costarricense Norteamericano, alongside some advanced students from Universidad Central Marta Abreu de las Villas in Cuba. We take particular pride in welcoming accomplished alumni who have distinguished themselves in their respective fields, as well as researchers from our own English department. Over the next 3 days, we will explore cutting-edge teaching methodologies, innovative technological applications, and essential professional competencies. We will listen to diverse experiences and invaluable suggestions for our teaching practices. This dynamic exchange between seasoned researchers and those bringing fresh perspectives will undoubtedly advance innovation and excellence in English language education. We welcome and appreciate your contribution, whether you're presenting or participating in discussions. Your insights enrich our collective knowledge. It is our hope that this symposium serves not merely as an academic event, but as a catalyst for transformation in our classrooms and communities. I now invite the head of the English department at Universidad Americana, Mr. Franklin Meléndez, to share a few words. Professor Meléndez brings over a decade of distinguished teaching experience in English as a foreign language, spanning elementary, high school, and college levels since 2004. He holds a bachelor's degree in English teaching and a licenciatura in English studies from the University of Costa Rica, complemented by a licenciatura in English teaching from Universidad Americana. Additionally, he earned his master's degree in education and family counseling from the prestigious Universidad Complutense de Madrid. Mr. Meléndez.
Well, good afternoon. It is a pleasure to share with you our second symposium. 2 years ago, we started with our first symposium, working with our friends in Cuba, presenting about 20 articles that were published some years, 2 years ago. Today, I would like to thank Mr. Ben Lyster-Binns for being here, and I would like to read some aspects about his presence today. So Mr. Ben Lyster-Binns is His Majesty's Ambassador to the Republic of Costa Rica and His Majesty's non-resident ambassador to the Republic of Nicaragua. Ben joined the diplomatic service in 1989 and has carried out a variety of roles in London, most recently as head of the joint FCO-DFID Somali unit. His previous overseas postings were to Uruguay, where he served as ambassador from 2012 to 2016, and Lisbon, where he was deputy head of mission. He has also served in Malawi as Aid and Development Secretary and in Oman as Political Press and Public Affairs Officers. So, Mr. Lyster-Binns, so it's a pleasure to have you. Now you have the word.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I have to say, I'm delighted to be part of this dynamic gathering of students, professors, all coming together to explore the future of education, technology, and language. And few things are more exciting or more important than conversations like these. English is not just the most spoken language in the world, it's everywhere, all the time. It's in your playlists, it's in your podcasts, the shows and the games that keep people up late into the night. It's the voiceover of your favorite YouTuber's latest how-to. So English is the most used language for online content, and so it's the most common language of the internet, of science. Up to 90% of the training data to develop AI models is in English. Diplomacy, global business, it's all lots of English. Think even your air traffic controllers and the international pilots and their use of global English. So whether you're chatting on Discord or writing a neuroscience research proposal, odds are you're doing it in English. But here's the thing, that doesn't mean the journey is over, quite the opposite, because the more global and digital our world becomes, the more we need to speak, not just type or translate, but really communicate in English. And that, of course, is what brings us all here today. You've stepped into the fascinating world of language teaching, artificial intelligence, gaming, and new technologies. It's exciting, and it's evolving very fast. And it's a world where we have to keep asking, what role do real language skills play when an app on your phone can translate menus, signs, or even live conversations in real time? And it's a good question. And the honest answer is this. Tools are great, but fluency, understanding, nuance, confidence, these are the things no machine can do for you. AI might be able to give you the translation literally, but it won't manage irony. It won't understand humor or subtext. Here's an example. When I say to my team something's not bad, what I really mean is actually it's quite good. And if you can't trust artificial intelligence to understand sarcasm, well, you're in big trouble when you're talking to a Brit. You can't outsource diplomacy to a chat bot. And I say that as someone who tries to keep up with AI trends. AI may be able to write emails and speeches, but it can't build relationships. It can't read the room. It can't tell a joke. And it doesn't know when to pause for laughter or even, in my case, sometimes an awkward silence. So that's where you come in. As students, as future educators, as creators of learning environments that go beyond tools and textbooks. This symposium is a chance to explore new frontiers, how we bring technology, gaming, and creativity into the classroom without losing the heart of what language is really about, which is connection. And when you really master English, you don't just gain a skill, you gain access to a world, to global conversations, to international jobs, to culture, science, and opportunity. And take education, for example, most of the top universities in the world are in the UK. Every year, students from all corners of the globe come to study in the UK, not just because of the academic reputation, but because of the experience, the culture, the diversity, the chance to grow. And many of those that come to the UK do it through our Achieving Scholarship Scheme, which is funded by the UK government and is for second degrees, and it's open to future leaders around the world. And the English is just a ticket in. But even before you pack a suitcase, there are ways to move forward right here. Thanks to BritEd Costa Rica, you can get a Cambridge English certification locally, something recognized and respected by employers and universities all over the world. Now, before I wrap up, I'll share a fun fact. Surveys often rank the British accent as the most attractive English accent in the world. Now, I'll try not to let that go to my head, but here's the truth. Your accent doesn't need to be British or American or anything else. Your accent needs to be you. What really matters is that you use English to express who you are. Fluency is about being understood, yes, but it's about understanding others too. So as you take part in today's discussions, workshops and presentations, I encourage you to stay curious, stay fascinated with English, ask the hard questions, and of course embrace the new tools. But never forget that teaching and learning English is about far more than passing an exam. It's about giving people the words and the understanding to tell their stories and to understand someone else's story. So thank you for letting me be a small part of your story today, and enjoy the symposium.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. We can't stress enough our gratitude for your presence here today and your valuable insights. And now we will proceed to greet our speakers. Each participant has been allocated up to 20 minutes for their delivery, after which there will be a 10-minute space for questions or comments from the audience. As a contingency plan in case of connection issues, a recording of the presentation submitted by the participant will be used. We request that the audience channel their comments and questions through the chat, and these will be addressed at the end of each presentation. So now let me introduce you to Dr. Alan Quesada Pacheco. He's the Director of School of Modern Languages at the University of Costa Rica. Mr. Quesada is a researcher and tenured professor with over 30 years of experience in English language education. He specializes in technology-enhanced EFL learning, collaborating both nationally and internationally on language assessment projects. He's also an active member of TESOL, ILTA, and ALTE. In recognition of his significant contributions to the field of education and innovation, Dr. Quesada was honored in 2022 with the Institutional Commemorative Medal of the UCR 75th anniversary under the category Education, Innovation in the Mission of Training New Professionals. In this opportunity, Dr. Quesada will contribute his expertise on the responsible use of AI for language assessment in the context of Programa de Evaluación de Lenguas Extranjeras at the UCR. Welcome, Dr. Quesada.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Well, thank you for the invitation to this special symposium on the teaching of English as a foreign language. I'll be talking about what we have been doing at the University of Costa Rica in terms of using AI responsibly and with a sense of human touch. And that is with language assessment. So this is the case of this program for language assessment that we have at the University of Costa Rica. So let me give you an overview of what I will be talking about. So some AI terminology that we need to be aware of. What is the language testing problem in Costa Rica and in Latin America as well? English proficiency indexes, EFL versus PELEEx at the university. Local AI-based language testing tools that we have developed, and some questions and answers. So what is artificial intelligence? There are many terminologies, but one is that computers try to mimic problem-solving, decision-making capabilities of the human mind. And we have seen all kinds of, reactions. Boost your productivity, earnings with cutting-edge AI tools. The new AI tool that will blow your mind, etc. But it is just a mathematical method for prediction. So it all does is predicting. Machine learning can improve its program routine and automated tasks. In that case, we have all kinds of machine learning, unsupervised learning, supervised learning, or reinforcement learning. In our case, we have been dealing with supervised learning and reinforcement learning as well with our AI test. Natural language processing, that is the language to communicate between machines and humans. So computer science and linguistics with natural language processing. Algorithm, so it's a series of steps or procedures that the computer is instructed to follow. In that case, we have input, we have set of rules, and we have the output. Now, this goes also for any of those AI tools, like ChatGPT, or in our case, predicting how to pronounce or how to assess pronunciation. So we need a lot of good information in the output, many analysis, statistical analysis. Then we set the rules, and the prediction of what good pronunciation is will be the output. And then we have automated speech recognition, which is also part of what we have been developing. And in that case, we have the audio, the utterance, we have a sound analysis, recognition decoders, speech recognition, acoustic models, pronunciation models, language models, grammar models, and all of that is part of the algorithm that goes on with our language test. So what is the problem with language testing in Costa Rica or in many parts of the world? Well, language teachers either don't have the ability or the time and resources to screen or evaluate students' language ability quickly, accurately, and remotely, especially if you have thousands of students to evaluate. So that's almost impossible. An affordable language certification that many people can't afford, that's another reason. And what's the solution? So PELEEx, in our case, the Program for Language Assessment, is committed to developing and delivering high quality, internationally recognized language tests that enhance careers, education, people in general through a dedicated research program. In that case, we have done a lot of research and publications about the results, about our tests. Okay, we have the famous EF-EPI, the English Proficiency Index, that represents, the language proficiency, English language proficiency in Latin America and in 110 countries in the world. However, this English proficiency is related to work. It's not about education. So we have to be very careful because, we are set at the 37th place between or among 110 countries, but we are second, third in the region with moderate use of English. However, we at the University of Costa Rica have developed our own English Proficiency Index in terms of education with the Ministry of Education. So we have mapped out the whole country, as you can see, where we know exactly in what regions, what kind of level, according to the CFR, students possess, the Ministry of Education. So A1s at the southern part, A1s in the northern part, in coasts, and some B1, C1s, B2s in the middle of the country. And for that, we have come up with a series of monitoring exams since 2019. And as you can see in the graph, for example, in 2019, 29% were B1s. In 2022, it moved to 36%. And last year, 50% of the students were B1. Now, what does that mean? That, assessing students, giving feedback to teachers, the Ministry of Education has given them the tools or the evidence to start making changes in the classroom as part of the English policy in the Ministry of Education and some other workshops as well. Now, for that, we have as a program joint important assessment units in the world, like LALTA, ALTE, the Assessment Language Testers of Europe, ILTA, and we have tried to become aware of the needs of the requirements, the standards that requires tests to be valid and reliable. And we also have joined the Interinstitutional Commission on Quality Standards for High Impact Standardized Testing in Costa Rica for the academics and the professionals. This is a special group of people that are trying to give assessment literacy to the general public so that we get aware of the consequences of using test results. Now, in terms of our program, we have worked with the Ministry of Education, with companies, AI companies, and we have developed and trained people, our people, for becoming experts in rating people. Machine learning, training, data sets, Q task designs, and constructor response tasks for writing and speaking. The Ministry of Education, on the other part, since 2017, started aligning the new program with the European framework of reference. So as you can see, we have from first grade till 11th grade or 12th grade, the whole program is aligned to the CFR. And of course, the lemma would be, educating for a new citizenship. Now, in order to to evaluate, 80,000 people in 3 weeks, that's a lot of people to evaluate computer-based. We have developed a framework for large-scale delivery. And we have done this with the Ministry of Education, with English advisors. And this is the kind of model that we have come up with, where we have our tests, issues, and map integration. Then we have the planning with the Ministry of Education, the test delivery with all the logistics, the monitoring tools, then the test data analysis, and finally, the test result reporting. And this is key to the whole process. It's not just to give each region the Excel with the results, but we have to go there and explain and interpret the results, the weaknesses and strengths, are also, the kind of descriptions for each of the bands that the students would get. So this is a serious framework that we have developed throughout the years since 2019. And we also have developed linear tests. You know, linear computer-based linear tests are just students have to go through 1 to 20 or 30 or 40, and everybody has to go through the same items. In the case of adaptive tests, each item appears according to my answer. So it's personalized according to the performance of the students. So it gets to know the student, and it's assigning the levels of the CFR levels to until it gets to the end. And the nice thing about it, adaptive tests, is that it uses an algorithm that it knows, it predicts. Remember the word prediction? So it predicts that if a student gets to 8 items, it knows that if he had taken the whole test, he would be getting the same results. So this is adaptive tests. And recently we have developed a more robust adaptive test, which is the multi-stage. So adaptive tests are related to items. In the case of multi-stage, is that it is mini quizzes of the same band. So it's more precise, just, and it gives a better result at the end. And then we have the part of the oral test with the speech recognition and the whole process of defining how to deal with pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, intonation, and how well the person answers the question. It's not just about talking anything, but you have to talk about what was asked. Here are some examples of the oral test. A student have 30 seconds to prepare. They read, they go over the information, and then they start talking for 60 seconds. And the results are given right away. So you can assess 10 people, 1,000 people, 1 million people, and it'll get the results right away. Now, this is an example of the results on pronunciation, fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and task achievement. Here I can show you some examples for children, 6th graders, and secondary schools. So in the case of children, it goes from pre-A1 to A2. And as you can see, we have different, levels depending on what skill they're dealing with. This is the first test that has measured the 4 skills with children. And this year we have been working a lot, and now we have the automated writing test. So now we can assess the 4 skills with secondary students as well. But for now, we had only, listening, reading, speaking. What is the washback of our tests? Well, this strategy enabled actually the MEP, the Ministry of Education, to determine the linguistic CFR placement of the students, but also has developed curricular recommendations for improvement on each school. So we have given them evidence to continue improving. Some ethical considerations and challenges using AI. Well, there are biases, and how can we control or have control biases is very difficult, but we have taken the algorithms, the results, humans, raters, experts. We have also asked them to listen, to read, to answer based on rubrics, and then we compare with what AI gives us, and we calibrate and improve the algorithm based on human rating. Dependence, over-reliance on AI could undermine the role of human language educators and the importance of human oversight on AI-based assessment. This is a key issue that we also are very serious about. And of course, privacy. We have to be very careful with the information that is kept in our servers for security of the students' information and the transparency as well. The future of AI in English language teaching, well, it evolves every day, offers exciting opportunities, and AI has become very sophisticated, and we expect more personalization, of course, and effective learning experiences for students, but greater support for language teachers as well. And one of the takeaways from my talk, remember that while AI can be a valuable tool for language education, it's not a magic bullet. Good teaching and assessment is still the most important factor in student learning, and technology should be there as a means to support and enhance, not replace. And we all teachers are the heart of the language learning experience, and our expertise, creativity, passion for teaching are what makes the real difference in the lives of students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we would have a period of questions. Among the comments, we have many people participating, talking very positive comments about artificial intelligence used in teaching and assessing. Well, there doesn't seem to be any question, but I do have a question for you. And it's good that you mentioned the biases, because this is something that has been debated extensively, right?
Yeah.
So can these biases really be eliminated?
No, they can be reduced. You know, it's very hard to eliminate like that easy. However, what we have done is to have audios. I mean, when we train the algorithm, we have voices of children, female, male, young people, male, female, adults, male, female, and then with different accents and different countries. So in that way, we try to actually work with where pronunciation is not the issue, it's intelligibility, you know, what we really focus on. And we also have, as I said, when the algorithm works and gives a result, we have our teachers, our experts, raters, listen to the audio without knowing what the machine gave, and grade the audio based on the same rubric that the machine used. In that case, we can calibrate every time that the machine is off or it's all right as well. We can calibrate, feed the algorithm with the human oversight, the expert. And in that case, we believe that we have reduced a lot of biases, and it's going to be fairer and more reliable. But human oversight is the key. I mean, human in the loop, what they call.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I agree with you completely. There is one question. Can you point it out for me, Paulina? Jocelyn Rodriguez asks, how can English proficiency levels be balanced across different regions in Costa Rica? And why in the central region students tend to achieve higher levels such as a B2 or C1?
Yeah. that is something that we have seen throughout the years. And one reason is, well, there are several. One is lack of materials, good materials, training on the part of the Ministry of Education for those areas in the southern part, northern part of Costa Rica, in the coasts, and also the kind of training on the new program. Believe me, it's been 7-8 years now since 2017, and some teachers are not aware of the new program. I mean, still. So no wonder, you know, there are so many differences, but the idea is that by giving them evidence, we can pinpoint which places we should focus on, or they should focus on, or everybody, you know, public and private universities should also help the Ministry of Education with training in those areas where they rarely have that kind of support from the Ministry of Education.
Perfect. Again, Joseph asks, how reliable and useful has the adaptive test been in measuring English proficiency?
Oh, yes. I think that that's the most reliable and valid test that can exist so far. And only big companies has it, you know, Oxford, ETS or Cambridge. But in our case, we have, you know, our AI programmers. And what's why do I say that it's very valid and very reliable? Because it is fed, the algorithm is fed with like 500,000 results. Can you imagine having, you know, all the students that have been rated A1, A2s, the analysis, B1, B2, C1. And so that kind of analysis gives the rules, remember the set of rules in the middle of the input and output. So that set of rules rely on good data. And that's why we believe, and when we test our students with our adaptive test, the same student that takes the adaptive can take the linear. And one could get 8 items and get a B2, or he could get the 40 items and get a B1 again. So it's very reliable. It's shorter. It's more personalized because it depends on my performance. So if I don't know too much, it give me good lower items, and it'll stop at some point. So you know, I don't have to go through hard ones and feel frustrated. So that's very reliable and valid, and students love it. They feel strange.
I had that question. I was going to ask you, but let's keep it there. Let's address the question by Annie Quesada. She's asking, how can artificial intelligence enhance human creativity rather than replace it? I know it's not related to assessment, but since you're the expert, go ahead.
Yeah, in that case, you know, what we have taught our students is that use the tools for your benefit. I mean, so the creativity comes from you, and whatever you do with the AI is what will come out as very creative or not. So critical thinking skills is key in order to work with AI tools. So we first need to be very aware of what we expect to get, how we want it to be out, you know, the output. And that's how we can actually work together instead of, you know, feeling that AI will rule. No, it is us, the students and the teachers, that can provide the rules for the AI to give us the results that we expect to get.
And coming back to my question then, have you had any input about the feeling or the perception of the students about this
Yes.
more personalized assessment?
Oh, yes. So for the oral and for the adaptive, with kids and with young learners or younger learners, teenagers. You want to imagine, you know, the avatar, it's an avatar. And it's amazing how the students tell us that they feel more comfortable talking to an avatar than with a human. And why? I asked them why. It's because, you know, when a teacher rate us, he's looking at us and he's writing and we are nervous, and with the avatar, you just start talking. And what they do is like talking to a person, and they move and I don't know, it's a very positive reaction of the students to the avatar, and the feeling of not being judged as well. And the other part with the adaptive, the students feel at the beginning when the test stops at 10th items and they see others finishing at 14 or 25, they say, is there something wrong with my computer? Because, you know, they expect to be working with the 24 or 30 items and it stopped at 10 or 8 even. So it's a matter of training. We always give a mock test so that the students feel comfortable before the actual test, and they get to know the look and feel of the test. So it's another way of easing the nervousness and getting to know the environment that they're working on.
Pretty impressive. Congratulations to all the team that has been working on this, because definitely a great contribution, right, to the Costa Rican education in general, right?
And let me tell you, I just came from a Latin America conference, and even though English is criticized in the country, right, English teaching and learning, but we are advancing more than any other country in Latin America. So we should feel very proud, everybody in public, private universities, the Ministry of Education, the teachers that work there, because this is, we are doing several things. We have a policy, a language policy. Many countries in Latin America and in the world don't have a language policy. Then we have professionalizing teaching. I mean, our teachers come from programs, BA programs at the university level. In many countries, they are regular teachers that know some English and they teach English. But in Costa Rica, we are very good. We have a body of professionals in language teaching.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much for your participation today.
welcome.
We have learned a lot about this such an important, relevant topic, and very trendy as well. So again, we appreciate your participation and we thank you. Okay, we're going to introduce our next speaker. She is Paulina Rojas Ceciliano. Paulina is an English teacher with 18 years of experience in Costa Rica's public education system, working with MEP and Fundatec. She's passionate about teaching, learning, and innovation. So she believes in transformative power of education to touch life, change perspective, and make dreams come true. Committed to growth, Paulina has mentored numerous students, earning 4 full scholarships to pursue careers in the United States. In 2024, she was granted the scholarship to participate in the Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages 2024 exchange program, connecting with educators worldwide. Paulina is a former student, so we are very proud to have her here today. She will share her insights on gamification with a presentation entitled Game On, Energizing EFL Classrooms Through Gamification. Welcome, Paulina.
Welcome, and thank you for joining this symposium. I'm very excited to introduce this topic to you. I think this is something very useful for any teacher at any level. And it has been a great experience also for me using this new approach in my teaching. Let me just share my screen 1 minute. So game on. We're going to start talking about gaming. And to start, I think I want to know how much are you familiar with the topic. So we're going to have a little game to start. So if you can scan the code, I will really appreciate it. And I'm going to share the game. And the first thing is that we need to understand that there is a difference between game and gamification. So let me share the screen so we can see. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes to see if you are joining the game. And then
please keep in mind that there's a minute or two delay with the YouTube broadcasting. So if you can keep it there for a while longer.
Sure.
Reason. Thank you.
I think we all have used games on our classes. The first question is related to that. Which ones we use more often? So while you scan the code, I'm gonna leave it there a couple of more minutes, 1 more minute. And then I'm going to share the ranking that we have for this. Let me change and see if we have some results. We do have some results already. So the question says, rank these teaching methods based on how often you use them. Games, class discussions, role plays, presentations, drills, which used to be very popular when I was a student. Those exercises that you had to do all over again, 50 or 20 of the same exercise, they used to be very popular. Okay, I'm going to go to, I think we have some results now. So I'm going to go to the next slide in this one. What words come to your mind when you hear gamification? What words come to your mind when you hear gamification? Let's see what words we have. We're going to create a beautiful word cloud. Entertainment, games, Kahoot, fun, not actual games, play. One of my favorite words about the topic is fun. Okay. Entertainment, presentation, points. Game elements. I see some people know a little bit about the topic. That's great. We're going to continue playing with the Mentimeter and also with the presentation. So as many of you point out, when we're talking about gamification, we're talking about an active participation, collaboration, and real-world communication. This method fosters autonomy, engagement, and deeper language learning. That's the objective when we're talking about gamification. Promote learning. Great job. Excellent. We have a very nice word cloud now with all this vocabulary. Now we're going to go back to the presentation. And then we're going to be back and forward with the mentee. As you mentioned it, yes, exactly. Gamification is talking about including game elements into a non-game context. In this case, our classrooms, correct? The idea is to include some elements that we use for games and that also students are very familiar with, because right now gaming is very popular between teenagers. I work with teenagers and young adults and they love it. So the idea is that we can include these elements such as points, badges, leaderboards, which I consider are very important, missions, and obviously feedback into our classes. Not only to play a game as a warm-up, but also to include all these elements through, could be a semester, could be a topic, maybe that you decide that you're going to gamify that topic, or maybe during a whole course if you teach online classes as I do. This makes learning more interactive, more fun, and more engaging. That's why I think this is a very useful tool, especially when you're working with young learners. But everyone loves a game, right? It's not only for teenagers or children. I have used it with adults and they also love it a lot. Why do we use gamification? Well, first, it boosts motivation and engagement. Students truly love, and there are students who are very competitive. That's important to note down. When they are very competitive, they are trying to get the first place. As we were talking in the presentation before, some students say, why he has 24 and I'm only 10? That's that competitiveness that some children have or some people have that makes them go forward into what they are doing. It is also good for motivation. They are waiting or expecting that's something that they will receive if they achieve the goal. It encourages repetition and practice. We can use it in many ways. It lowers the effective filter, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the effective filter from crashing, which I think is key in gamification. And it also promotes collaboration and autonomy. I think we teachers have the ability to really quick create small activities or games and make students work together to achieve goals. If we include some game elements into those creative activities that we always do in our classrooms, it's going to change the atmosphere and the environment in the class. So this is really, really important to take into consideration. Now we're going to talk about the theoretical support of this. This theory emphasizes a lot of important aspects. There is a lot of research done on this. Also, if you want to check more for research, there is a lot of research about it. We are going to talk first about the theory of self-determination. It talks about autonomy, competence, and relatedness. So autonomy is the need to feel in control of one learner's choices. For example, students can choose what level they want to start. They can choose the game they want to play. There are levels and they feel that they own their learning path. You can offer missions, different grammar and vocabulary missions, depending on what you're doing in the class. The second is competence, the need to feel effective and successful. I think this is really important when students feel that they have achieved something, that they have accomplished a goal. It makes them completely engage into what they are doing. Points, badges, they provide immediate feedback, making students feel like they are progressing. And this is also encouraging more effort. They want to go on what they are doing because they feel like they are in the right path. And relatedness, they need to feel connected to others. Team-based challenges, for example, or class guide goals support school interaction, and it boosts group cohesion and student engagement. So sometimes we do role plays in the class. We can give an extra support or an extra motivation to some students who are performing well or better than other classes, and that would give them this boost of engagement and motivation. I also want to talk about Crashing's effective filter that for me is really important. I have seen students who are shaking in a presentation or almost in tears because they have to stand in front of their classmates to present a role play that they have practiced. Krashen argued that emotional variables like motivation, anxiety, and self-confidence influence language acquisition. When students are anxious, the affective filter is high and it blocks input. So I think no one will learn the best if they are feeling stressed or anxious or scared about the teacher or about the class. Gamification lowers anxiety by creating a fun, risk-free environment. Earning rewards for participation or practicing dialogues in game form encourages communication without fear of failure. So in a more relaxed environment, they can practice better, they can perform better, and they learn better. And finally, gamification aligns with the communicative language teaching. Gamification emphasizes meaningful interaction in the target language. Gamified tasks encourage real communication and fluency-focused activities. For example, role plays, mystery challenges, or riddles, information gaps can be grabbed in game narratives to create authenticity and motivation. I have teach most of my career ESP, and it's been challenging. I teach English for specific purposes. So finding the creative way to write a letter or to send a memo sometimes can be difficult, right? Finding creative ways to present these activities and then giving a reward to students who can achieve the goal has changed a lot into my classroom. As I said, you don't have to develop a big system, but you have to use your resources and find correct rewards and motivation so your students feel engaged. What elements can we use? Well, we can use points and levels, badges, leaderboards. It's really good to have a leaderboard where students can follow their track, mission-based tasks, rewards, and unlockables. I have used, and this is something interesting, I have used stickers on classes, on my regular classes face-to-face, teaching in the high school. I bought them as a motivation, but they have become a complete gamified system for my students. They naturally did it. I start with warm-ups. I have cards with questions. Some of them are mindfulness questions for teenagers or positive thoughts for teenagers. So I give my students as a warm-up one card. They have to share their thoughts with their classmates. And then I ask, okay, who wants to tell me what you share with your classmates? Some of them at the beginning were very shy. They didn't want to talk, but I started giving stickers to the ones that participated. Teacher, I want to say, I shared this with my classmate, and they got a sticker. When I noticed, they were collecting stickers in their notebooks. And they were like participating more often because they wanted to get the sticker. Activities that involve stickers were more attractive for them. Even one of my students approached to me, I teach mobile apps development. And one of my students said, teacher, you should create like a book, like the ones that we use for the World Cup. And I was like, okay, do you have any idea how can we do that? You can create a book, and in that book, we can collect these stickers, and these ones are less points because they are little, and these ones can be more points because they are bigger. Students are very familiar with games, so I think it's very natural for them to find the motivation in this approach. As I said, I use it for warm-ups, but you can use it also for vocabulary challenges with points, speaking games with rewards, grammar missions in groups. I have used it with Kahoot, with quizzes, with WordWord, with Mentimeter that I liked a lot. The advantage with these tools is that they give you already a leaderboard. So you can say, okay, the top 5 will get a reward, or the top 3 will receive extra time on an activity, or extra time on a test. These are some of examples I have used in my classes. This is called the English Quest. It's based on Jumanji, the movie. And there were different points, emeralds, rubies, amethyst. This is another one based on Sherlock Holmes. It's Sherlock Holmes Adventure, and what they got were badges related to detective activities, maybe a sleuth, maybe some lenses, a junior hat, and then I chose the top 5 based on the students that performed better in the class. Those students, this is for online teaching. So what I do is that they get extra time on a listening test or extra time on a written test, the ones that have more points. And this is the last one that I used. This is called Around the World in 80 Days, based on the very famous book and movie from Julio Verne. In this case, the idea was that they were traveling to different countries and they will collect flags by solving different riddles, challenges in Kahoot, quizzes. I also use Padlet for this. They had to describe a city, so I use Padlet. I like it a lot. Now, if you don't have technology, I think, or if you have issues with technology, well, I think that's not a big deal with this. It's more about creativity, right? What you can do in your class with your students, activities that you have done before that do not require a lot of technological tools or internet connection. For example, there is an issue in my school. You can use, as I said, badges. You can do digital badges, print them at home, bring them in the class, even a small candy. Students love sweets. So even a small candy can be a good reward depending on the activity. Some of the tips for this is to tie elements to goals. We have to keep in mind that we have to attach the game to a language goal, either if it is speaking, writing, vocabulary, grammar, but it has to be aligned with a linguistic skill, right? Whatever we want to develop in the classroom has to be in the path of what the game is going to do. It's not just playing for playing, it's playing to achieve a language proficiency or fluency or pronunciation. And at the end, you can receive an element of a game. Keep it simple and fair. Make sure it is fair. Promote cooperation more than competition. Some students are very competitive, so be careful with that because other students might feel shy about it, or if they are not winning a lot of challenges, they might feel it can create the opposite effect that we want. So make sure that it is fair, that you can give a little bit to everyone and avoid over competition. And well, benefits, more motivation and confidence, definitely. When students are not feeling graded, when they are not looking at you, as we were saying, taking notes, they enjoyed it more, they relaxed more, and they are more confident to talk and more motivated. It is important to have consistent practice. And sometimes you can use these games as homeworks. For example, if you're studying if clauses and you feel your students need extra practice, okay, we're going to do a challenge after class. Go to quizzes, go to Kahoot, do it at home, and practice this a little bit more. The 5 of you that do it will get a reward. It promotes a positive environment, and it also adapts to any class, any method that you have chosen, anything that has worked for you. As teachers, we need to know what motivates our students. If they are adults, if they're children, find that thing that they feel crazy about. If it is music, okay, we're going to have music at the end of the class because we achieved this challenge. That could be good motivation for them. And you can adapt it, as I said, for children, for teenagers, or young adults. Anyone that is into your class will enjoy it, definitely. And these are the references in case you want to check out. There are nice podcasts about this also if you want to look online for them. And I want to finish with this phrase. We had some more games, but because of time, I think we're going to go right to the questions. Language acquisition does not require extensive use of conscious grammatical rules and does not require tedious drills. Gamification isn't just play. It is purposeful, powerful, and personal. So if you have any questions or any comments.
Thank you, Paulina. I remind the audience that you can make, well, you've been making a lot of very nice comments. Also, you can ask your questions through the chat. We have one question by Sharon Flores. She wants to know, what are the best examples of gamification?
I think it will depend on your classroom. As I said, I have used stickers and they have become super popular. They love them. If you're teaching online classes, there are great online games for developing into the class, and you can monitor them in class. So it will depend on what you're teaching and what your students enjoy doing. Something simple as a bingo, for example. Some students love playing bingo, especially younger learners. I've noticed from 7th to 9th graders, they really like it. Some students like more role plays. So it will depend on your students and how you motivate them.
Okay, I have more questions.
Good.
Let's see. Yeah, no, that's great. That's part of the intention, right? To have an exchange
Sure.
of information. So, what's a good strategy when a student loses motivation when they're losing?
When they are losing, I think having a variety of activities. If you have different activities, there will be one in which he will perform better and then he will get back into the track, right? Not all of us are great on grammar. So if we have a variety of activities, things that are not always focused on one or two skills, he'll find the right one and then he will gain more motivation by that. If you keep the games only focus on one thing or one skill or one kind of game, you will probably have students who will get bored or will get used to it, or as you mentioned, will lose motivation because they're not good at. And also like positive reinforcement. You're doing great. Next time you're going to do it better. Don't worry. Enjoy the activity. Next time it will be your time.
All right, very nice. Johelim, I'm sorry, has a comment and a question. Game in class is really good and have good impact on student learning process. However, how can large groups be managed during games to maintain focus on the main objective?
One of the main things I learned preparing for this is that classroom management is key. If your classroom management is not good on a regular activity, it's going to be crazy on a game. So classroom management is really important for gamification. Make sure that you can make small groups, for example, or that there are some signs that we can use on our board for noisy classrooms. So I think the first step is like manage your classroom well. And once you have that, start gaming on, because if not, it's going to be crazy. You're right, especially if you have 40 students in a classroom.
Thank you. Okay, now Sophie Santamaria has a question. She would like to know, in adults, what would be an activity that you could recommend?
I have worked with adults. The games I showed you before, these ones are for adults. I did it for my adult students at Fundatec. I use riddles. And this is online teaching, but you can use it also. I mean, Paddle, for example, is a tool that you can use also with adults, describing things, riddles. They also like to play Kahoot. I have seen students who I thought they were grown-ups enjoying a Kahoot a lot. Game elements are fun and they connect with us, so adults also love to play a good game.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to Kevin Monge's question. He says, when giving students rewards, how can we avoid competition to turn into something negative, as fights between students and even open the door for bullying? Very interesting question.
Yes, as I said, you have to know your students, and classroom management rules have set up clear rules, even set the rules with them. Okay, we're going to start playing games, but what rules do you consider we can use during this time? What rules your students proposed for the activity? So it makes them feel engaged. Okay, this is our activity. We are all working on this, and we all set up these rules. And write them on the board, have them on a visual place, sorry. We're going to be respectful. We're going to use only positive language. Okay, if you notice something is going out of control, point it out. Hey, guys, we said we're going to use positive language. Remember that we said that we are going to be respectful. If the rules are not followed, we will have to stop playing. And with practice, the same students will try to avoid those behaviors because they want to continue in the game.
Very good. Thank you. Now, Karen Quiroz asks, if a public school or high school doesn't have a great internet connection or technological devices, which is solution?
I have had internet connections. I work for a public school in a rural area, and internet connection sometimes is a big issue. As I said, there are games that you can play within your classroom. Recently, I was teaching types of letters, memos, complaints, different types of letters. So I took the letters, split them into pieces, put them in a folder, and the game was, okay, you have to put the letter into the correct order. Once you have the letter into the correct order, you're going to exchange your folder with another group. The group that has 4 documents in the correct order will get a sticker. I've played a lot. There are a lot of games that you can look online specifically for what you need. Artificial intelligence is also really good. I have had great ideas from artificial intelligence. If you're teaching online, you can do the quiz on an artificial intelligence app, download it and upload it to quizzes, and then you have a great challenge. But again, if internet connection is a problem, there are always things that we can do with pen and paper in our classes.
Very good. Thank you for those answers. Now, I have a question for you. We've been talking about very, numerous advantages, and we cannot deny that this is a great strategy to get students engaged, motivated, and so on. But what are some drawbacks of gamification?
Well, I would say that if you want a really good gamified system, because it's different to have one game for one class and to have a gamified system for a period of time. It requires some time. Maybe not hours, but it requires that you sit down, research, and prepare the games. For example, in these cases, if you notice with the flags, we are talking about probably 6 or 7 different games. As many of the questions mentioned, you have to be very careful with classroom management to make sure that the game is focused on what you need also. Like, it's not just playing because I like play bingo, it's playing because we are going to learn something from this activity. And sometimes find the right point on that is tricky.
Okay, thank you. We have a question. Andrea Lizano wants to know, she has a comment and a question. I love gamification and think it's a great tool, but I'm concerned, how can we ensure the gamification promotes deeper engagement and learning rather than just superficial participation?
It depends on the game that we developed first, right? If you want deeper proficiency, or for example, deeper the fluency, or in a specific grammatic structure that you're practicing, the design of the game is very important, that it focuses on what you want to practice. And also, well, it promotes engagement because I think it's in our human nature, at least in many people, we have that part of playing and enjoying and having fun. So, and I think I truly believe what Krashen said, if we are not anxious, if we are not stressed, if we are not scared, we definitely learn better. There is a lot of research on that specific point.
We thank you so much, Paulina, for your presentation today. Once again, thank you for being part of this symposium. And now we are getting ready for our next presenter. She is Miss Edith Perez. Edith Perez Meléndez holds a bachelor degree in English teaching. She began her academic journey at Fidelitas University and later completed her degree at Universidad Latina de Costa Rica. She is also a published author with 2 novels written in her native language, Te presento a un amigo in 2023 and Café Libertad, published this year. Currently, Edith serves as a professor and teacher mentor in the Inglés Tech program at Fundación Tecnológica de Costa Rica, and today she will share with us her interesting approach to using artificial intelligence generated images and gamification elements for storytelling in an EFL classroom. So we warmly welcome Edith.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, it's a pleasure for me to be here with you, sharing a little bit of what I do as a teacher, right? So I hope that these ideas that I will share could be useful for you in your classes, right? So let me share. Here we have it. So as we were saying, this is the topic I want to share with you, using AI-generated images and gamification elements for storytelling in an EFL classroom. I really like this idea of mixing some things. As you heard, I like to write. So storytelling is a very important technique, not only for writing, but also for speaking. And also games, as we heard before, right, in the previous presentation, gamification is one tool that is going to boost our class. And also, we have a lot of tools nowadays that are very useful to generate material that are going to save time of us, right, teachers, when preparing lessons. So the big question is, how can we combine these resources to develop creative lessons? And I say creative because in order for catching the attention of our students, we need that creativity, that thing innovative that we are going to put in class and they are going to be engaged, right? So we have gamification as a tool, AI tools, and storytelling. What I'm proposing today is a way in which we can mix them up in, we can say in an activity or mini project, if you want to call it like that, that are going to be useful for them to produce by speaking, by writing, and also practicing listening. It's a little bit of everything. In order to see it like in a kind of scenario, we are going to imagine the group we are planning this lesson for is a pre-intermediate young adult learners group, right? It could be adapted also to teenagers, but it will depend on the activity or the game you're going to choose to start with, right? So the objective of this activity that I am proposing today is to use past narrative tenses because they are studying past tenses and connectors and maybe time sequencers. And the conversational topic of this class is going to be traveling. This is a very common topic in pre-intermediate level, right? So we're going to start with gamification. This is the first part, right? So we have already listened about it, so I won't stop like too much in this topic, but it consists on taking elements from existing games, right? It is not like to bring games to class, but it is like deconstructing games, take the most important parts, and then use these parts in a way that they are going to be related to my objectives, right? So it is going to give that part of motivation in the class, yes, but it is going to help me to achieve the goal and also for my students to develop the skills that I really need them to develop. So the first step here is to choose a game that you like or maybe your students like and analyze its rules. When I am saying a game, it could be a video game, it could be a board game, I mean physical or concrete game, or it could be a game that we use online. It doesn't matter, even a cell phone game. And we are going to understand clearly how it is played, right? When we already know that, so we're going to identify the elements of this game. So how many players, what are the components that it has? For example, cards, tokens, or any other object if it is a board game, or if it is, I don't know, a kind of video game, what are the components it has, right? What are the places, I don't know, images, the characters, anything. Then we are going to think about the rewards as well, or the goals or quests that the main character or the player has to achieve. Then we decide which of these components are going to be useful for the objective we have. So the first thing is analyzing the game. When we already know what parts of it we want to use, okay, so I will start planning the activity. For this specific purpose, I propose this game, right? So I'm talking about traveling. My students are trying to use past tenses. And this game is very interesting. I haven't seen it in Costa Rica, but I researched a little bit and I found it. It's related to art. And well, it has different kind of cards. So the first thing, as I said, let's understand what is the game about, or what it is about. So it is played with maximum 4 people, right? Then it takes 20 minutes approximately to be played. And well, people more than 8 years old can play. Those are the first things. It has different landscapes that are like pieces of art according to the idea of the game. It has a token, this one that we see here, that is the artist, and is the one that you're going to use to play. We have also some cards that are brown that are kind of commissions. So the money you receive if you sell one of your paintings. And then you have daily goals that are like extra points or extra rewards. And the one that calls my attention was the planning card. It has like the kind of instructions of the day. So the person takes one planning card, sees, for example, the first thing, the time that this person has to wake up, then what is the task for the day, and then it is going to say if you can sell or not any of your paintings. This is basically what you're going to do, is trading. And it is played in 6 days. So understanding this, that is the game, I will say I like the landscapes, right? Because those images are very useful to talk about traveling, because those could be the places the person is going to visit. The commissions, of course, because those are like the kind of rewards that this is the money that they are going to receive. And the plan or planning card is important because it could be the way I give the instructions to my students, right? So taking that into account, I will use this tool. If you want to use it, it is there, the code to enter the website. It could be downloaded in the cell phone as an app, or you can use it online. Well, it is the free version has like a limited number of images per day, but you can use it without problem, right? So in this case, this is a kind of generative AI tool, and it allows us to create images of many different types. It could be, I mean, since cartoons until we can say very realistic images that are the ones I will propose to use today. The key to have the desired images here is to prompt properly, right? I listened also in a previous lecture, we can say conference like this, that prompting is important. I mean, what you tell the AI is what it is going to give back to you, right? So it's important to use the precise words that exactly what you need and tell how to do it, right? In this case, I wanted the landscapes because I want to create these cards for my students. We can use this activity, I mean, digitally, or we can print the images if we want to do it without technology in a class, right, in a concrete way. I use this prompt: create landscapes from different places. They should simulate pieces of art. I programmed the AI in a realistic way, so I wanted realistic images, and I asked it to do it in a square so that I can have many cards in one image. Why like this? Because it provides like 4 images at a time. So in this way, I had the opportunity to have more images with one prompt. So I took advantage of, we can say, of the free version of this AI tool. In this case, I had these ones. I can separate them and deliver them to the groups according to the needs. And well, in this case, all of them are related. So I can use other kind of prompts, more specific, like telling, for example, in a beach or jungle or something like that, so that I can have different images, and then I can divide it according to the groups, right? But the idea is that with these landscapes, they can mention places that they had visited. Those can be invented or could be real places similar to this ones. Then, well, I took the images. I already know what elements of the game I want to use. It's the time for storytelling. This is a cultural and social activity. And if you notice all the stories that we have nowadays, even the first book written in English was told first, from person to person, right? So storytelling is something that started with humanity. And also we can see like it started in different ways, as for example, something that I have here in this presentation, cave paintings. So it reminds me that images or picture cues can be the point of departure to create many different stories. And human beings have the advantage of being very creative. So the idea is that we can take advantage of that creativity that our students have and put it into practice. So benefits of storytelling, I researched, and you are going to have this article that I am mentioning here in the references at the end of the presentation. The benefits that I found are too many, but I focus on these ones because are the ones that we are going to, to include, or that we normally include in our lessons. It enhances communication skills. This is the basis of teaching and learning English, right? That they can communicate in the target language. It promotes creativity, as I said before. It improves listening and cognitive skills, especially if we develop the activities in groups, because they are going to have that part of negotiation, that part of taking ideas, brainstorming, and then shape the story together. It develops abilities, as paraphrasing, because I'm listening to my classmate and then I want to tell what he or she said. So I paraphrase this in a very simple or more complex way, right? This is the idea. And it enriches vocabulary, because at the moment of creating the story, they are going to ask for a lot of words. And if we are helping them to create that, at the end, they are going to have like a bunch of vocabulary, new vocabulary that they can use in further conversations, and they are learning that vocabulary in context, right? So knowing these benefits and knowing the other steps, let's shape this idea, right, of using the three techniques, we can say storytelling, gamification, and the AI tool as the creation of one activity. What I'm going to use, okay, from the game, the planning cards. Those are going to be my instructions. So I will use that planning card in order to put my students into the game, right? And the instructions of the activity with the, we can say, objective and everything of this game are going to be there. Then a token. The token was the artist. In this case, they are going to be characters, and they are going to be precisely the travelers. Who are the travelers? My students, right? So they are going to be the tokens of the game, we can say. Then AI-generated landscapes, the ones that I generated with the AI tool. So those are going to be picture cues, as we know them in language teaching. And finally, I will use the commission cards, but I will make a kind of switch to the idea of the commission card, the original idea. And I will ask them, right, to write some comments to their partners. So instead of just receiving a commission card as a payment for the creation of the landscape in that case, they are going to receive a commission card with comments about their story. So it is going to make the rest of the students, the audience, to pay attention to their partners when they are presenting the story, because they have something to say. They have some feedback to give. They have to comment on what they are listening. So again, Listening abilities are going to be developed as well as speaking, right, at the moment of the preparation and the presentation of the activity. So my materials are going to look like this, right? We have here the traveler's tale. In this case, I generated this card with ChatGPT, taking advantage of another AI tool. So I wrote the prompt, very precise, and I said that I needed a card similar to one in a game. Well, I started telling that I am a teacher because ChatGPT understands better if you give the whole context. So I said, I'm a teacher of a pre-intermediate group, B1, and they are playing a game about traveling. I need a card that has the instructions similar to one in this game. I mentioned the game Sunset Over Water, and it has to have, and I said the 3 things it has to include. And it was we can say, the result, right? So it says Traveler's Tale, you've wandered far and wide, and your backpacks are full of memories. This is like the situation in order to engage the students a little bit more. Your tasks, draw 5 cards that are these ones from the story pile. So we are going to put the pile of cards and they take 5 landscapes. Arrange them in a sequence that tells the story of your journey. Think about where you started and what you experienced and how it ended. So in that case, we are giving them the structure, right? Introduction, body, and conclusion. And then we have a challenge. Share your adventure with the class, present the story, speak clearly and creatively. And when you are done, collect your commissions, you earn them, right? So in that case, this is the idea. Let the story unfold. You have to explain something else, maybe about the narrative tenses or any other detail that as a teacher you need them to accomplish. And then they start working with the images in order to create the sequence that they are going to use as their story, Traveler's Tale. And finally, these are going to be the commission cards. In this case, those ones I made it by myself, right? But in Canva, but anyway, you can do it on papers or you can do it even with artificial intelligence as well. And I left the space just for them to write comments, and it has like kind of number of points according to how fun the story was or how much I like the story and something like that. So at the end, the group that has more points in the commissions, they are going to be the winners of this game. So this is, we can say, an activity that you can implement in class. It requires maybe time at the moment of understanding the game, but if you use a game that you already know and that you have played or that you have seen how to play it, so it's not like that difficult. And I can tell you that they are going to be very interesting for students. I have tried many of these games with my students that are also adults and teenagers, and they get really engaged. And also, something that I really like is that at the moment of presenting the story, they are accomplishing the goal of speaking in past or in this case, right, in past tense, and they are enjoying what they are doing. And also that part of putting the audience, like paying attention to give some feedback, is very useful. And at the end, everybody is motivated to continue talking, and sometimes, why not, writing stories or telling stories, right? So this is the idea of storytelling, gamification, and AI tools. I hope that it could be useful for you. This is, these are the references that I used, 3 different articles. And in case you want to ask something later or anything, you have my contact there. And this second code has all the resources that I showed here in the presentation.
Thank you, Edith. This is a very complete task. So I have a couple of questions.
Of course.
Does a teacher require any kind of training in order to create these kind of tasks in which they combine? I really like, by the way, the fact that you combined all of these elements, right? Didn't use them isolated, but as a combination. But my question is, do teachers need any specific training to be able to do these kind of tasks?
I would say that for example, with the information we received in the previous presentation, about gamification, we can understand how to gamify. So if we like to play games, we can deconstruct a game without problem. So that part doesn't need like lots of, we can say, training. Maybe the part that will need a little bit of it is the prompting part, right? Because generating things by using AI tools sometimes is more complex than we think. So maybe that part of prompting, it is required little help, but not very much, because in my case, I learned just with a, we can say, presentation like this, and I could do it, from by practice. So as well as we say that the students need to practice a lot, we too, in order to achieve this kind of goals as teachers.
All right, very good. Sharon has a question, Sharon Flores. For you as a teacher, what are the main challenges for these activities?
Well, maybe we have to be very clear in the explanation of the activity, introducing it. And also we have to create an environment of teamwork in the class in order for them to be successful. Because if the students are not accustomed to these kind of activities and we are not creating that environment, it could be a problem, right? Because they are not going to be interested, or they can have like we can say, negative competition. So it is part of us, as teachers, we have to create the correct environment in order for them to be successful.
Okay, and Luis has another question. He wants to know which are some apps that you could recommend to have there, like as a inventory.
Related to AI.
Related to using AI, I guess, or maybe related to storytelling. Are there any specific web pages that can help a person who is not familiar with this technique? Do you have any recommendations?
Okay, if it is related to AI, yes, to many, right? We can start with the two that I mentioned. We can also use Gemini. It is very useful and also is working sometimes better than ChatGPT. And well, related to storytelling, actually, I have to be honest, I don't have like specific apps in order to use or to develop that ability specifically. And gamification, well, that is not precisely an app, it's any game, right? That you can have near, or that you see maybe your, I don't know, children or nephews and nieces and as me playing, so they can be useful.
Okay, very good. Now, I have a question in terms of storytelling, which I think is really nice, but my doubt is, can this be adapted to any level of English proficiency?
Of course, it depends on the pictures you use, right? So, for example, if I want to apply this with kids, that I used to do it actually, what I do is to create a sequence of images that are related to a daily routine, for example, and it's storytelling too. But the production is going to be, of course, less than these ones that I'm pretending my students to do, right? But it is related to the ages and the kind of images we are going to use that are a little bit more childish, right? So we are going to change them. Or if we have teenagers, so we can make them more appealing for them according to their likes and the things that they are accustomed to talk about, right? Storytelling is useful if we apply it according to the age and the level that we are that we are developing, right, or that we are working with. I have to say that it works for everybody because I have worked with children, with teenagers, and with adults, and I love storytelling since I have memory. So I can say that it works, but we have to be very careful choosing the materials.
Okay. What if the students don't have the vocabulary necessary to develop the story? Would you provide the vocabulary as a teacher? How would you, help them in that sense?
Well, normally when I am developing this kind of activities, they are working in groups. So what I do is like I visit the groups and help them with the vocabulary they need, at the moment. However, if the group is bigger, right, like 30 students or more, it's better to give them like a list of vocabulary or practice the vocabulary previously, right? Maybe the class before, so that they have something to start with, right? So again, it will depend on the time that you're devoting to the topic. For example, this topic of traveling, I can start it in one lesson, and in the other lesson as reinforcement, I will make this kind of activity.
We thank you very much, Edith, for this wonderful presentation, which has given us a lot of tips and good ideas to put into practice in our classrooms. So once again, thank you for joining us in the symposium with your participation.
Thank you very much for the opportunity of being here.
Okay, and as we continue exploring the use of artificial intelligence in foreign language teaching, we introduce Professor Claire Goodman. She's a faculty member at Universidad Estatal a Distancia with extensive credentials, including a bachelor's degree, teaching certification, and master's in TEFL. Professor Goodman has over 25 years of English language teaching experience across multiple roles: instructor, teacher trainer, and operations coordinator. She spent 13 years at the Costa Rican North American Cultural Center and has taught at several Costa Rican universities, including Universidad Latina, Universidad de La Salle, UTN, and UNA. She is also an active conference presenter, having spoken at events like the National Conference for English Teachers in Guatemala as a Macmillan Education representative, plus various webinars and educational events here in Costa Rica. Her presentation is titled Write On, Speak Up, Supercharging EFL with AI Magic. So we welcome Professor Goodman.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you for this opportunity, obviously, to share some ideas that I have actually used in the classroom and that students also have loved very much. So, and since we're on the same topic of artificial intelligence, obviously it works very well with what we've been discussing. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. Just hold on one moment. Okay, get in presentation mode. Okay. Okay, first of all, I'm going to, well, obviously I have been teaching for many, many years. So I'm going to show some technology that I started with when I was teaching. Obviously, I don't know if anyone remembers the projector. You had transparencies. That was it, right? We didn't really have much else to teach with in the way of technology. Obviously, as we can see in the other picture here, now, obviously, it has changed a lot, leaps and bounds, obviously, throughout the years. And I think personally that it's very important as a teacher, an older teacher as well, that we can keep up with this technology, okay? Because it also helps with our teaching and it helps the students to be motivated, okay? And also with, obviously, AI, it's very important to have open conversations with your students during the particular courses. At the moment, I'm teaching at UNED, okay? So what usually I'm teaching writing courses, for example. So we do have open discussions regarding AI and the use of AI, the positive and also the negative. But here we're going to focus on more of the positive things that we can do with AI. So we're going to learn some of the objectives. Okay, we're going to learn about the benefits of AI. We're also going to discover how both teachers and students can create unique activities to enhance, I think, all of the skills, but obviously I focused a little bit on writing and speaking skills for this. Okay, the main benefits of using AI in the classroom. Well, in this case, we can personalize learning. We can use the AI tools to adapt to each student's level, learning style, and pace. So we can focus on specific vocabulary or grammar practice as well. Also, we have access, which you're going to see to use, obviously be able to use authentic language materials, which is very, very important when we're teaching English, okay? Because they're going to be exposed to many different English speakers, not only native English speakers, but non-native English speakers. So they need to have this exposure to authentic materials. Okay, so we can look for videos, for articles, dialogues, things like that in real world English. Okay, well, obviously the previous presentations talked about gamified AI, but I think what it shows here is how to enhance student engagement, okay, and for younger learners and digital natives, okay, which can help in the classes. Okay, we're going to take a look at one activity here. This can be writing and also a speaking activity. Students create AI picture, okay, while using, maybe I want to work with adjective order description. So, for example, okay, we're going to take a look at some examples. So again, the same. If we're writing a prompt, if we go to ChatGPT and we need to write a prompt, so we can put create, we'll say create a picture with this sentence. So, for example, a cute small brown dog running on a sandy white beach. Okay, so the student can create the sentence and then they can actually with ChatGPT create the picture, the image. Okay, so they can use the writing skill. Then with the speaking activity, for example, students can explain the picture to their classmates. They can show them the picture and they can also, right, compare their descriptions or talk a little bit more about the picture itself. So this is something really, really easy to do. So for example, and hopefully it's going to work. I don't know. Just hold on a second. I did do it to connect it to ChatGPT. Okay, if it has there, no, it didn't open with the picture, but I can show you, this is the picture that obviously from what I gave it as a prompt, this is the picture that was created by ChatGPT. So you can use it for free. You don't have to buy any kind of version of ChatGPT, and the students can have fun creating their own pictures and their own images with their own words. Okay, so this is something very easy to do in the classroom. They can even use on their cell phones if they have the ChatGPT app, they can use it as well. Okay, for the next writing and speaking activity, also I have had my students do this as well. So for example, you have students, maybe they were assigned to write a descriptive paragraph. So the students submit their paragraph, they put it, obviously copy paste it to ChatGPT. Okay, once they have the paragraph written, then they're going to ask, well, the prompt, they're going to ask, okay, can you create this paragraph? Can you turn it into a B1 or B2 level of English? So what ChatGPT is going to do, it's going to enhance and improve the paragraph. Okay, so the students have a chance to look at what they wrote and then what ChatGPT gave them. So the students can check the paragraph, they can discuss even with a partner. So as part of speaking, they can discuss, look at their paragraphs, talk about the differences between them. And I think it for me, obviously with the students that I have worked with, it has been great because they can also say, oh, okay, I could have done that, written this differently. Oh, this is some new vocabulary. I don't know this vocabulary. So then again, they're learning vocabulary, they're practicing with their own original writing, and then they're seeing how it can be improved. So I think it's a great activity. I think it's well worth trying. Okay, the other one, we have writing and speaking. Again, the same with AI. In this case, we can use story starters. So, for example, if you're doing or teaching a writing class, maybe what you can do is ask the students, they can go to Chat GPT, maybe they're stuck regarding a particular idea. They can say, okay, can you please write prompt? I don't know, maybe for a narrative paragraph. So they write it and then they could get a prompt to start with, and then the students can start writing their own paragraph. Or you can even do it as a speaking activity. If you want, before class, you can go to ChatGPT. Please write some prompts for my students regarding narrative writing, and then maybe you can hand them to the students and they can, right, invent, create the rest of the story. So for example, here it says the lights flickered and the air turned cold suddenly. So then they have to continue the story. So I think all of these ideas are very simple to use. Obviously, not the students are using their own ideas, their own thoughts. So it's helping them maybe progress a little bit more and using AI and using obviously technology, right? Which I think is really important because in overall, they're going to be using AI no matter what. I do teach international students, and some of them use AI to help them maybe create a better email if they have to send it to their boss and things like that. So it's something now that everybody is using on a daily basis. Okay, we have one of the last activities. This one is very, very interesting. First of all, I mean, it has several steps, okay, for this one. But what you can do as a teacher, you can go to YouTube, okay? So maybe I want to find a video for my students, okay, about a particular topic, okay? So I'm just going to open it here for a moment. Okay, so for example, maybe I want to discuss, I don't know, it could be a conversation class, why we dream. Okay, so I can go to TED Ed. I can find a video for my students, obviously considering the level, the vocabulary, okay, that they're going to be using. Okay, what we can do here is we can go down to more. Okay, and you will get the transcript. Okay, here you can get the transcript, okay, of the actual video itself. You can eliminate the timeline here. They have like different timelines, so you can eliminate that. Okay, so what you do is, as a teacher, obviously you've watched the video, you know what the video is about. So you can take the script, okay? You can copy paste the script, okay, to ChatGPT. Okay, and then once when we go to ChatGPT, you put in the script and you're going to write a prompt. For example, you're going to say, okay, I would like for you, this is going to be speaking, right? This is the speaking option of ChatGPT. Okay, so you're going to give the script and you say, okay, we're going to have a conversation about the script that I uploaded to ChatGPT. Okay, then it takes the script, okay, and I can actually have a conversation with ChatGPT about the video. So I could say, for example, okay, ChatGPT, why do we dream? And then it's going to give an answer according to the video, and then the student can continue with the conversation. So you can actually have a conversation with ChatGPT with something that the students, obviously, maybe it's a topic that they have studied and they've watched the video before, so they know and they're prepared to have the conversation with ChatGPT. So this is an excellent way to enhance speaking in the classroom. also to help students speak outside of the classroom as well. So a lot of students, they don't have anybody to talk to. So sometimes, well, why not? I think at the very beginning, Alan mentioned regarding speaking to an avatar, sometimes they feel a little bit more comfortable. So they're speaking to a chat GPT, obviously not a real person, but a chat box, right? Kind of figure. So here are the steps. I'm just going to explain. So you find a suitable video. Okay, the students watch the video as well. Okay, they watch it, they take notes. Okay, once you have uploaded the transcript to the video, then they can start with a detailed discussion with the chat GPT. Okay, they can use it on their phone. The chat GPT app version has actually where you can speak to it. I have had interesting conversations, actually myself with ChatGPT, and to practice my Spanish. I have also used it, so it's very good. So they get to interact, ask questions about the video specifically. Also, you can ask ChatGPT as the teacher to give them feedback. So ChatGPT will automatically review the transcript and the discussion and give the students personalized feedback regarding their performance. This is free. This is free. You don't have to pay for anything. So the best thing I think about this one is obviously improving your listening skills, practicing speaking, you're engaging. I know it's with a machine, but they get to engage, see how it works. And also you're using authentic content. It could be any kind of video or whatever you want to use. So I really think that this is an amazing tool that we can really use with our students, and also that it can help them practice and also help them improve their language proficiency. So I think it's very, very interesting. Okay, my conclusions regarding this is that AI, obviously it supports personalized learning. You can adapt it to each student. It provides access to real-world English, authentic materials. It's very interactive, so it really increases student engagement and motivation. And I think overall makes language learning more enjoyable and a little bit more tailored, maybe to the person's needs or interests. I'm going to leave you with this because this, I don't know if anybody obviously has looked at this YouTube channel, but Russell is a very famous, I mean, he's very good regarding teacher training videos. He does a lot regarding technology. So if you want to know or you want to learn, but for English teachers. So he gives a lot of videos. Actually, some of the activities I found here, okay, regarding ChatGPT and AI. Okay, so I don't know, I'll just go back. These are obviously some of the resources as well that I have used, and I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Thank you so much, Professor. That was
You're very
a
welcome.
great presentation.
Okay, thank you.
We have a very challenging question.
Okay,
Given your
sure.
vast expertise,
Mhm.
maybe you can help us with this. Karen Quiroz wants to know what you recommend with autistic students. I told you it was a challenging
That's
question.
a challenging question. Well, it all depends on the spectrum, right? Obviously, as we know, autism has, right, huge spectrum. I have had, obviously with Una, regarding some autistic, maybe not small degree of autism, some students, and obviously they really enjoy technology. It is a fact. So I actually was teaching, they were taking, it was a general English course, but they were all computer programmers. So they were very focused on, I want to just work by myself. I just want to work like this. And some of them, obviously, I think regarding AI, it might give them an opportunity to practice maybe a little bit more. Obviously, they need the social skills, but I think it would also be a great tool to help them practice a little bit so they don't feel so intimidated working with others, because some of them do have that problem with social skills.
Thank you so much. That was really a good tip.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead.
Digital literacy gap is a potential challenge, right, in the incorporation of artificial intelligence in education. So what recommendations would you provide teachers who are facing this issue? Maybe they don't feel they have the expertise.
Yeah, I think it's teacher training. So I really think the teachers need to be trained. Any kind of workshop that they can attend and do things that are easy, that are simple. I don't think putting things that are, too overwhelming for people, because then it's like, oh, I don't know if I really want to try this, if I can do it. So I think with like some of those activities, like creating an image on ChatGPT or taking those small steps, definitely could help a lot, but teacher training is very, very important.
Yes, thank you so much. We have another question from
Sure.
Tanya Moya. She
Okay.
says, I agree that ChatGPT is quite useful, but the question, right? How can we prevent students from using this bot to have their work done for them?
Yeah, that's still, that's a big debate, but still, people are still talking about it and kind of like a hot topic at the moment. Usually what I do, especially in the writing courses that I teach, I usually just talk very openly to the students and I say, okay, this is ChatGPT. I know about ChatGPT. I know about AI, because a lot of students think, the teacher doesn't know what this technology is yet. So I think if you have like an open conversation with them and tell them, okay, this is a tool that you can use to help you, but remember, you're going to be in the real world and you're going to be talking to people. You're going to have maybe as well, right? I don't know, emails or documents, and you might not have ChatGPT there to help you. So you really have to try to have an open conversation, I think, and really kind of tell them why it's important that even if they make a lot of mistakes, that's what I tell my students, make mistakes. I don't want a perfect paragraph. I want a paragraph with a lot of mistakes, because then I know that you're learning. I don't want something perfect, because that's not going to tell me much as well as a teacher when I have to assess. So you have to be open with the students.
I like that perspective, right? I don't want perfection. I want errors, because that tells me that you're learning. Maybe we can try to make the students conscious about the importance, right? Because I think that's the key, making them aware of the dangers of relying or dependency of artificial intelligence, right?
Exactly.
Because it's here to stay. We cannot, can fight against it. We need to teach our students how to embrace it in a positive way, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's it. A lot of negative discussion is obviously talked about, but there are a lot of positive things. And I think we need to, exactly, it's here to stay, like, the internet was, right? When the internet all of a sudden appeared and all these things. So yeah, we need to also teach students how to use things responsibly.
Thank you so much.
You're
Lot
very
of
welcome.
positive comments on the chat. Everybody loved the presentation. So thank you so much, Professor, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you.
And this would be the final presentation for today. We thank all the speakers for their interesting contributions and the participants for their enthusiastic engagement through the chat. We have many people making a lot of beautiful comments, so thank you so much for that. We invite you to tomorrow's journey, where we will explore some new perspectives on techniques to foster our students' learning. And tomorrow we shall begin at 2 p.m., so we'll see you then. Good afternoon to everyone.